Alright guys, welcome back to another video here. We're going to go ahead and give our opinion on Operation Motherland, because as you know, maybe you don't know, but we did finish our playthrough recently, in record time, believe me. But we did finish it and enjoyed it immensely, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about the pros, talk about the cons, mostly pros. There's a couple things that, could have been better, but look, I got a pinch of understanding here considering this game's status. It's not Modern Warfare popular, so I get it. But we'll talk about that, and then we'll go over at the end, just overall how I feel about it, which, if you can't tell, is pretty high. Alright, so talking about the pros here first, let's talk about, I don't know, we'll start with the story. Might get a little incoherent here, but we're really just rambling. No script on this one. We don't do that here. So, let's talk about the story. The story, I mean, it's got Bowman in it. I think that was really the catch for me. I was happy to hear Bowman again. Basically, you're just helping out the rebels again because they always need goddamn help. But they actually brought in new enemies, which was one of my favorite things. Bodark returned, but this time proper Bodark. So that was always a big thing for me when they did the other DLC where they had the Bodark in quotations here. Weren't really Bodark, it was just your standard guys, and there was a couple, special ones, but they were named, they were important people, main targets. So it wasn't really the same. These guys, a lot more unique. They have the accent, as bad as it is sometimes, and they've got the gear. So you love it. They got the weapons, everything. That was a big one for me, and I think that adds a lot of replayability too, just not having to fight Sentinel. But anyways, going over the story, it's a very long campaign. It follows the same structure as Wildlands, which was an awesome idea. I'm glad they did it because Wildlands had a really fun structure to it where you just clear out a region, you work your way down, you're basically working with a web to get your main targets, and then at the very center is the kingpin, so to speak. So I love that. I'm happy they did it that way. That was a definite pro. A lot better than the vanilla story, which was honestly confusing to follow at times, and I just did not enjoy that method. The setting is the same. Obviously, we're on Aroa, but they did do some small environmental changes as far as the weather goes. I mean, I've got enough hours in this game to know that some of these overcast environments look way better. I mean, it looks incredibly good. And definitely you notice that it'll rain more in some regions, it'll be a little bit snowier in others, and such like that. So I think for the DLC, it's a little bit different. Another small thing accompanying this update was actually a couple weapons got updated sounds. You had the M110, which was a new one. You had the G28, TAC 50, M4A1. I believe that was all of them that got updated weapon sounds, and they are phenomenal. I mean, the G28 is insane. The TAC 50 also sounds really good, and the M4 also sounds amazing. So the only downside to that would really be that the other weapons sound inferior. It's sometimes hard to use things like the 416 because the M4 sounds so damn good. It's hard to use weapons like the Mark 14 when the G28 sounds like a fucking behemoth. So, I guess that's kind of a con, but the pro, I think, outweighs it, man. Those weapons are awesome. Speaking of weapons, we'll talk about what they added. They added a lot of weapons. I mean, they added the AS-Val, the ACR, the ACR Assault, which is basically just a different brand. You got the M110, holy crap, absolutely amazing. You got the bipod with foregrip attachment, which is really cool, nice touch. They've got the AK-47 Shorty, updated the AK-47 Assault as well. If you ever noticed, the handrail now has a top cover, so it doesn't look weird. The SR3, for instance, was also a really nice weapon, very common to find too. But I might have missed some there. I can't quite remember all of them off the top of my head, but as I said, add a lot of weapons and definitely a lot of stuff to play around with. Other things they added, at least the gear. The gear has been pretty awesome. Like, they did a good job. It all looks really solid. Some of it's on the Ghost Coin store. That's really worth getting, though. The important thing to keep in mind is that the free things that did come with it are the most important. That Future Soldier gear. I mean, come on. That stuff was awesome. I mean, I'm not much for wearing non-modern or slightly unrealistic gear, but the Future Soldier stuff is badass, and it is pretty realistic. I mean, there's nothing too benign about it, so I love it, and it came out amazing. I'm happy they added it. The only thing they didn't add were the pants. Odd choice, because the pants were cool too, but it's okay. We got tons of alternatives. I'm not even gonna sweat it. Okay, moving on from there, we should probably wrap back around to the story. I told you there's no script here. It's gonna be a bit of rambling. So again, it follows the Wildlands structure where you're basically going to do missions, take out a target, they're like your middleman, and then you're going to take out multiple middlemen to get your big boy. I love that structure. I think it's awesome. I love how they broke up the island, and they did use the entire map. They used all of Aroa. I think it's 12 spots on Aroa, and then you've got Golem Island as well for your final objective. Just tons of replayability there, and I think that that is awesome. The entire island is going to be flush with the new Bodark enemies. You're gonna have new Bodark patrols. Each area is a little bit harder too. They got 3 different tiers, and you can feel it. I mean, the first areas going back are like a cakewalk. You go into a tier 3 area, before you do the missions, man, it is tough. Now, that's the other thing. You have destabilization missions in each region. The majority of them were actually really good. I mean, even if it was the same base I've attacked 100 times, it felt fresh. You know, it felt fresh, it felt good, especially with the new enemy types. So I enjoyed that a lot, and I had really no problems there. Now, if we want to talk about the cons, I guess really my main complaint would be that there were no Bowman Rex Everybody cutscenes. Seriously, I love those cutscenes. Being able to bring in the cartel leaders and then watch Roman tear their ass to shreds, shove a guy's face in cocaine, all that good stuff. I loved it. I mean, seriously, I still remember most of those because they were so damn good. That was a little disappointing. You know, having to get everything through dialogue was not preferable, but again, I understand maybe it was a limit in budget or time. Another thing is that you can't turn off the drones. I know why you can't. I mean, I understand, but I'm just not a fan of the drones. So that was like always the first mission I would knock out. So I mean, in a way you can. It's not a big con, but just something to keep in mind is that you do lose some of the options for your open world experience to turn on or off things. Another thing I have is that once you actually beat the DLC, it does feel like the world is a lot more empty as it normally would be. I'm not sure if you can reset your Motherland playthrough. I'm hoping you can. You can always just join someone's lobby online, but you know, obviously you want to have your own. So we'll see with that. But I feel like we're kind of grasping at straws here for cons that I can really think of. I mean, I guess a main one, and this is definitely one that I think people will share, is that the missions can feel a little repetitive. Like, there are some that are weaker than others. You know, the ones with the convoys are pretty weak, I'm not gonna lie. Even trying to record them for the videos was a bit difficult because they're not that interesting. I mean, most of the time you've got 3 cars driving around, but none of them even have a single escort. You know, it's just a truck, and it's like, okay, I'll just put a thing of C4 down, hit it with a rocket, easy. You can do it in 2 seconds. And then you've got a couple in the bases, which are far more interesting. And I think that whoever did the convoy one, you should have at least given them escorts. I think that was a big swing and a miss. The repetitive nature of some of the DLC, because, you know, there's only probably 6 actual different missions, and then they reuse that same one in each region. But I think that the way they spaced it out is actually really well. I never felt like I was doing the same objective over and over. So while I think that it's a con that it's repetitive, I have to give them credit. I didn't really feel it being too repetitive for me personally, but I didn't exactly play it in one shot. Now, there was one thing that came with this update that was a massive con for me. I actually it sucks for me personally, at least, and it's not gonna hurt everybody, but they added a skill tree, and it has this master skills that have some nice buffs. I mean, such as being able to walk faster while you're ADS'd with certain weapons. And you use your extra skill points, which I have plenty, but the only way you can unlock that tree is unlocking every single perk. What's the problem? The problem for me, and I'm sure some of you other guys too, because not everyone likes it, is that we don't unlock the thermal NVGs, so that you only have to flip down your regular nods, and then you can turn them right back off. You don't have to cycle through them. Well, if you don't unlock those thermals, you can't get access to the mastery tree. That is a massive whiff, honestly. Like that one really sucked for me personally. I was like, feel like I'm missing out on a massive part of the skill tree because I don't want to get this one particular thing that I can't toggle. So that kind of sucks. Hopefully they change in the future. And the only other thing, I guess, is that you can't actually see your progress, or at least I have yet to find it, a progress bar on your levels. But there's a new level system, and it's cool. I love it. You can get the 99. It's got some cool rewards. I just wish I could actually view my progress, you know, and like see what the rewards are that's coming, kind of like Wildlands did with the Ghost mode. But, I mean, I guess it's no big deal. You can always just look up the list. There's not too many items in there. I think that's going to conclude it for the overall review, in my opinion, on it. To summarize, really, what I would say is that it was a really good DLC. Like, definitely the best one for Breakpoint. As somebody with 900 hours or so in this game, I can see myself dumping another 200 to 300, maybe more, hours into this game. Because it just, the replayability is so nice. Being able to go around the island and shoot an actually interesting enemy and not really knowing exactly how everything is going to be set up, every base is going to be, like, that really just gives me a reason to explore the island again. And the missions were pretty solid. Most of them were good, they were fun, and I would love to tackle them in different ways. Even if it's the same base, the layout seems to feel much different. The new gear, definitely, you know, awesome. You can make so many different kits now that it adds a lot of variety. The new active camo that they added with the DLC, also really awesome. You know, again, a whole new way to play. So I think overall it was a really good DLC. Was it phenomenal or fantastic? No, it's definitely not a groundbreaking DLC, you know, best of the year for any game. No way. Definitely not. But for Breakpoint, yeah, this is probably the best one that we've gotten, and I mean, it's free. Hell, I should have put that in the pros, man. It's freaking free. Anybody can play it. Everybody's got access to it, and all the stuff that comes along with it. Like, that is an insane amount of content to get for free. I hope that they continue updating the game, and I really hope that they update the gunsmith. For the love of God, let me just put the T1 on my assault rifles and semi-auto on my assault rifles. Ubi, please. But nonetheless, guys, I think that's going to conclude it for my review. So definitely positive. But yeah, that's my opinion on the DLC, and I'd love to hear your guys's. So let me know down in the comments. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you have some cons that perhaps I missed? Let me know. I definitely love to hear it. And if you stuck through this far, I really appreciate you watching, guys. So I'm going to be coming back with some more regular content, as well as some new content from other games too. So keep an eye out for that stuff. And to go ahead and wrap things up here, hopefully you guys have a good day, and I will see you with new videos coming up soon. Take care, everybody.